Welcome to Life, Laughter, Divorce, episode 32. I am your host, Leanne Linsky.
And I'm the boyfriend.
Yeah. So welcome back to another awesome
Isn't this like
week.
the age you tell everybody you are?
Yes.
I'm 32.
Last week I was telling people I was 31. So there you have it. Yeah. While you're out there, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe if you're on iTunes and Stitcher. And thank you very much for the wonderful review this week. So we appreciate that.
Every review counts.
That's right. It does. And you know what? We did get some feedback on Instagram this week. We asked our question of the week, which was, how did you spend your first holiday after your separation or divorce?
What did we get?
Well, let's see. We have a few things going on out here. Carolyn said that she hung out with family on Christmas. She opened all her gifts from her preschoolers. Aww,
Nice.
Yeah. Thanksgiving, she did not have her kids and her mom was away, so she took a Tylenol PM and went to bed. Love it, Carolyn. Love it. Let's see. The Laptop Millionaire said this is an amazing post. If you have the time, check out my page. I think you'd really like my post. That was spam. I think that was just spam.
It was.
Let's see. Mama is right. She said she spent her first... Stop laughing. I'm going to read the spam to you guys. So that was spam. How did you spend your first holiday after your separation or divorce? And Mama is right said happy.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Right? Cooking with Adriana, she said that she spent 1 week in Ibiza.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a vacation. Good
right?
for her.
I mean, go all out. Go to town. Let's see. Yo, Michael Path. He said, that would have been Christmas. My ex and I still live together. We and our cats honored the holiday the same way we did the previous Christmas. At home, gifts, dinner, etc.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Very. Hats off to you guys.
Yeah.
Phew. That's a pretty big feat. Let's see. Reen Girl 7, she said that she flew to Jamaica and had a great time. I love it.
So it sounds like there's a mixture of family. I'm going to go out and go have some fun.
Yeah.
The travelers. And then actually spending it with your ex. That's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your ex or Tylenol PM.
Yeah, well.
So, you know.
There's some days I'd like to take
Right?
a Tylenol PM and be out too. So
Let's see. Zero Lash said NSFW. What does that acronym mean? Not. I'm gonna have to Google it. We'll like it. All right.
we're not.
No, there's one more. Keen Butterfly, not Queen. Keen Butterfly said, I have not had a vacation yet. I just left him in April. Well, hang in there. I see a vacation in your future. It can happen.
Yeah, there's a holiday coming up and
Yeah.
go enjoy it.
Yeah. So there is that. So thanks you guys for all of these awesome comments. It's good to hear what people, it's kind of like we have all people at different parts of their experience.
Or journey is how I put it.
Yeah, a journey. There we go. The divorce is a journey. So thanks for all of that. I was curious, the boyfriend, have you ever been in a relationship where your friends or family or someone has said, hey, I really don't think you're with the right person?
Yeah, but it's always been, I've never gotten married and haven't really even towed close to that line. So yeah, I don't, they've said this is probably not the one for you. And I'm like, yeah, but it's fun. So, and they're like, yeah, okay, that's all right.
As long as you know that.
Yeah, as long as you know it, it's fine. And everyone knows. And that's okay. I've told this to my friends before too. Like,
really?
Yeah. Like one of my best friends was dating a girl who I didn't think was a good fit for him. And you sort of bite your tongue, but you're like, eh.
Yeah.
They actually got engaged and they called it off. She called it off, which was weird, but they didn't get married. But yeah, I didn't think she was right for him. And I think he's better off now without her. But yeah, I think it happens. How about you? Have you've been married twice and divorced twice? Have any of your family come up and said, I don't think that guy's good?
They didn't say anything like that until after it was done, and they're like, "Yeah, we didn't want to say anything."
Isn't it weird with families that way?
Yeah.
They'll just keep it quiet, and they won't actually tell you their true feelings because whatever, social norms or whatever, they just want you to be happy.
Yeah.
But some people will come out and actually have the
nerve,
balls, gumption, whatever,
yeah, whatever,
just to tell you what they think.
Yeah, I mean, they've, in my family, they've always been more like, well, you were happy. Would you have listened to us if we said any different? And
probably not.
Probably. You say that very quickly. I wonder. I don't know that I would have. I mean, in the past, I've dated people, and I know I've had a friend or two say, I don't think that's right for you. What are you doing? Do you really want to do this? Why don't you rethink it? Dumb. And basically, that's what they say. Like, I don't think that's smart.
It doesn't smart me. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, thanks for your opinion, and we'll see what happens. Or I'm going to be fine, even if it doesn't work out. And then it doesn't work out. And I'm like, I should have listened.
Yeah, it's interesting, though. I wonder why people don't say more. Because when you're in the relationship, you see it your way. You got like rose-colored glasses on, and you're like, this is always great. But people on the outside, especially your friends that are on the close periphery, are
your
just
friends
like,
and family like really know you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprising to me, a lot of family don't
step in.
Yeah, don't mention or say something.
Right. Yeah.
But they're probably right on most cases that you won't, or I wouldn't make a choice or change because of it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I remember even the day of my second wedding, and I was really upset and very anxious. And
on the day of your second wedding?
Yeah, and I was like,
signs? Anybody? Signs?
Right? And I was like, talk me out of it. They're like, you're just nervous. My dad's like, please take her. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I probably, if they would have said, yeah, you're probably not doing the right thing, I probably would have called it off.
Wow.
Yeah, thinking back to that. So, yeah, interesting. I always wonder, like, do people heed that advice? I guess it just depends on person to person.
Yeah, I think it depends on the whole group dynamic. Do you have a good enough relationship with your close relatives or friends to be able to heed that advice or even listen to them objectively? And then are you strong enough to make the decisions based upon that advice, on the advice? I don't know. I
think too, it may have a lot to do with the approach. They're like the one friend or two friends in particular, like I'm thinking of, if they didn't say that about most any relationship I was in, I guess I would have taken, I think there are some people, like I would probably take it more seriously than others, only because there are some people that I feel like they don't want anybody to have any happiness. You know what I mean? So,
yes, I know those people.
You know those people?
Yeah.
So there is that, but yeah, interesting conversation. So, the reason I asked this is because I had a wonderful conversation with a really extraordinary person this afternoon. And I've never met this person before. In fact, our guest today, we found in the Washington Post this weekend. There was a write-up in the paper about an event that took place in Philadelphia, and it was the Philadelphia Naked Bike Ride. It took place this Saturday, and there was a write-up about it in the Washington Post, and they had talked to several participants in the Naked Bike Ride, and one of them happened to be our guest today. And Mom Anonymous, our blogger, who we'll talk about more next week, she actually reached out to me and was like, hey, I think this would be a great guest for your podcast. And I looked it up and I was like, oh my gosh, this would be an ideal guest for the podcast. And in the conversation, I just have to say, after it was over, I walked away feeling so good. She's such a positive person, like you could just feel like you're with a really super nice person talking. And there's also something there that a lot of her, what I'm hearing from her and her story and everything, I'm like, oh, I can completely relate, because I see that as my old self many years ago, where I just can relate to the experience that she is going through, except hers ended much differently than mine, and you'll see for yourself why. But I just think I left feeling so positive for her. I think she's a pretty cool person, and I'm looking forward to see what her future holds. So our guest today took part in the Philadelphia Naked Bike Ride this weekend. She is recently unengaged, and she has quite the story to share with us this week. So I'll just let her tell it. So without further ado, I'd like you to meet Miss Olivia Neely. Olivia, welcome to Life, Laughter, Divorce podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I'm very excited because we read an article about you in the Washington Post this weekend. So I understand you're in the Philadelphia area, right?
That is correct. Yes. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Great. How long have you been there?
I've only been in Philadelphia for about a year and a half. I grew up in PA, but just in Philadelphia for about a year and a half now.
Wonderful. Okay, so we were wondering, because I know in the article we read that you went through you recently went through a breakup, but have you ever been married or divorced?
I have not been married.
Okay.
I've never been married, but I've actually been engaged twice. And this was the most recent engagement that didn't go full schedule here.
Well, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Give us some background.
Absolutely. So I'm a very relationship-oriented person. I do long-term relationships. I'm not a good dater. I've never have been. I like to be in a relationship, and I think that's part of the issue. Whenever I was in college, I began a long distance relationship, actually with my boyfriend at that time, who lived in Texas. And I was going to school in Westchester, Pennsylvania. And he was older. I always go for older men too. And he's older. And we dated for a little over a year. And I graduated college and decided I would move down to Texas to kind of pursue the relationship. I lived there for a couple years, and we, in the meantime, got engaged and had the wedding all planned out. And a couple days before, things actually fell through. And then, and it wasn't, nothing catastrophic happened. It was really just, I think, some nerves on each side, but kind of brought up some larger issues that ultimately led to a breakup and me moving back to Pennsylvania.
Wow. Yeah.
So that was a lot to go through. I was, how old was I at the time? I guess I graduated 21. I was about 23, 24 at the time. And I was very excited to be, I've always wanted to be married. It's something that I've always wanted to have. I've always wanted to have a family. Being a mom is something that is very important to me and something that I really want for my life. And I think that's part of the issue is I kind of rushed into something that wasn't maybe what it was supposed to be.
Right. Well, I can understand that. I was married at 23 myself. So yeah. So you went back to Philadelphia after that broke off. And then, so how long ago you've only been out there a short time?
Correct. Yeah. I've only been here for, like I said, about a year and a half. When I moved here, I moved in with a roommate for a period of time just to get on my feet. And she introduced me to her friend, and who quickly became my boyfriend again, because as much as I tried not to, I didn't want a relationship after everything that had happened. And I had some downtime in between it, but I did, that's what it evolved into. And so we started dating pretty early on, even though we called it, something else. We were still dating. And again, it kind of just evolved pretty quickly. He was much different, very different from my ex-fiancé. My ex-fiancé was an engineer at NASA. And that's why I lived in Houston. And now this new relationship was bartender in Philly.
So a little bit different. Yeah.
Different. I think the pendulum swung, quite the opposite direction. But he was super fun. We had such a great time together. He was fun. Again, older. And, eventually within about a year, I actually bought a home during that time in Philadelphia. And he moved in with me, and things were evolving pretty quickly, and we were both feeling it, and everything was great. And we had plans to do a very low-key wedding, a very small city hall wedding. Actually, some of my friends didn't even know that this was happening. We were just going to tell them afterward, and it was all very exciting. And then we told my family about our plans, and that's when things kind of didn't work out.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Were they supportive, or were they just trying to make it into bigger and better?
They, none of my family liked him. Oh. They weren't very vocal about them. My family was very respectful. They trust me and appreciate me. They would never just come out and say, we don't like this guy. You shouldn't be with him. But when we told them about our plans that were to happen, evolving pretty quickly, they kind of took that time to voice all of their concerns.
Oh, that's something.
Yeah. And I didn't expect that. I knew they weren't in love with him. I knew that they didn't love that he was a bartender and he was, 10 years older than me. But I was really, I love him. I still do love him. It's still very hard. It's only been a little bit over a week since we broke up.
Oh, this is really, really recent.
Very. It's still, I'm still trying to figure it all out, but I know it was the right decision, but it doesn't make it any easier.
No. When feelings are involved, it can get very, very gray matter there.
That's right. Yep, definitely.
Well, I'm so sorry. So knowing that this is kind of what happened, I'm guessing that you're the one who initiated the breakup then.
I was, yes. We tried to, things were off since it's been about a month and a half since that happened with my family. And, we had always talked. We were very open in our relationship. It was something that I never really experienced before. He was my best friend, which I've never really had in a relationship before. We talked about everything, and he encouraged me to be very open about what I was feeling, because he knows that I tend to turn inward. And that's exactly what I did after the incident. And my family is so super important to me. I mean, my family is everything. And not having their support really ate me up. And I felt myself, it's almost as if the rose-colored glasses were kind of just ripped off of my face.
Yeah.
And I saw things in a different light. I saw him in a different light. And I started worrying about things I never worried before about the future and our financial state. And he has a son from a previous relationship, and I started to worry about things with that. And I didn't talk to him like I used to.
Yeah.
And I ended up I ended up just kind of removing myself and really pulled back in a way that I could no longer support what we had emotionally.
So you feel that, looking, I know it's still recent, so not looking that far back, but after your parents and family members sat you down and had this conversation, because family tends to see us in ways that other people don't know us,
Right.
I mean, they've known us since forever, and they know the ins and the outs and everything. Was it hard for them to do this? They've never done this before?
For my family to talk to me about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they, I think it was very difficult. It was very difficult for them, especially because it caused tension, and we are such a tight, very close family. But they also know that I am the type of person to do anything to make things okay. I don't know if I'm trying to figure it out if it's a bad habit or if it's not a good quality to have, but I can pretty much make any situation okay. I can be happy in so many different scenarios and situations. I can see myself in a million different outcomes in a day's time. And I think that having that quality, I tend to overlook a lot of potential red flags.
Yeah, yes.
Right? Because, everything will be fine. And it doesn't matter that this is an issue because I can fix that. I think I'm a fixer. I think I can fix anything that is a potential issue. I think that's a very womanly quality to have, a very feminine,
right.
Something that we take on as a responsibility. And in this case, I do, even in the short time, looking back on things, I know I did that. And I think that's part of that, having, like I mentioned before, those rose-colored glasses kind of ripped off, is that I was very quickly reminded that, oh shit, I did it again. It's part of my language, but I did it again. It's just like my first, the first time I went through this, and I wanted something so badly. I wanted an end result so badly that I kind of made it happen in whatever present moment I was given.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've learned quite a bit in a very short time, and without actually going through the whole marriage and divorce part. So hats off to you for that. And I kind of commend your parents or your family members, whether it was siblings too or whatnot, but for stepping in and having the courage to speak out. Obviously, it hits home with you somewhere along the way for you to make the decision. And I understand that that's never easy to do, especially when you love somebody. I mean, love is love. It's not about, finances and things like that. It's still a deep, deep feeling.
Right.
So,
exactly. And that's kind of what I'm struggling with is, did I let these possibly irrational fears ruin a relationship, a really good relationship? Irrational fears about the future and about finances, about stability, ruin a really great, exciting, fun love that I've never really experienced in such a way? Or is that the responsible thing to do? Was that, it's so hard to figure, it's so hard to understand that balance, I think.
I'm sure myself and some of our listeners would probably go, boy, I wish someone would have gave me a heads up before I went through it all the way, for sure. Because, sometimes those things we know in the back of our mind, they are red flags and that they are concerns, but we tend to ignore them and we hope for the best. We let the emotions override our logic. And then next thing you know, a few years into it, we're like, ooh, why didn't we acknowledge those red flags head on way back when? Because those things that don't seem like a big deal now, they don't tend to change.
Right.
And they do come up later.
Exactly. I think that's the key thing there is that, as much you kind of just think that they'll be fine in the future. And of course this will happen this way because that's naturally how, a person or a relationship evolves. But I don't think we can really just rely on that.
No. Well, and I think a marriage is much more than just emotions or just a physical relationship. It's much more than that. It's a business partnership as much as it is anything else. And you have to have those things in there for the long term in order to make it work. Because if those things break down, a lot of times other things do too. So, so
definitely.
It's pretty good that you recognized it now.
Yeah. One thing that really hit me hard during it was I'm the youngest, I'm the baby of the family. I have 4 older siblings. So 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters. And one of my brothers, they've always been protective. That's kind of the role that I have to accept as the baby. But one of my brothers said, Olivia, it's time to start thinking about what you deserve, not what you think you want right now. And at first he said it made me so mad. And I was sitting here actually with my ex and we're on the phone with him and he said that. And I'm thinking, you know what? That really infuriates me because this is what I deserve. He treats me well. He makes me happy. We have a great physical connection, which is very important to me. And these are things that I deserve. Like I haven't had this in a relationship. And then that was one of those things that just kind of stuck with me and I couldn't shake it. And I was like, crap, he's right. And that's one thing that kind of really, was a driving factor in my ultimate decision.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something about seeing the potential in people versus seeing the reality.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah. And also that's really something for your brother to step up and talk about your self-worth. I've heard that from people in my life as well, regarding past relationships. What kind of self-worth are you putting on yourself when you think this is what you deserve?
Right. Yeah.
So that's a pretty big deal to acknowledge now. And so now that this is such a recent breakup, and the whole reason we read about you in the post is because you took some action as a result of your breakup. Do you want to tell us about that experience?
Yeah. So I had seen this event. I'm always trying to look for events happening in Philadelphia, especially free events. And I had seen this a few months back, and it was the Philadelphia Naked Bike Ride. Okay. And I looked at pictures and I was wondering, how is this even legal? And all these things. And I kind of just, I'm a biker. Actually, I am a biker. I bike daily to work. So, supporting Philadelphia bikers is something that I like to do. And so I saw this event and kind of pushed it aside. I actually wasn't going to be in town for it. So I thought, okay, well, next year. And then it turns up that I was in town. And after the breakup, I decided that I was going to do it. I didn't know to what extent. Clothing, it's all kind of what you're comfortable with. You can go completely in the nude. You can wear clothes. You can, it's kind of whatever you're comfortable with. But the issue, and I struggled with it for about a week leading up to it, because not only because of the clothing optional part, but because I did everything with this recent ex-boyfriend. He was, like I mentioned before, he was literally one of the first people that I met when I moved to Philly. We did everything together. He showed me everything, introduced me to his friends, took me to new places. Like all the places I know are because of him. And we did everything. He was always up for doing anything.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think I could do it without him. I actually wanted to call him, even though I just completely broke his heart. I wanted to call him and say, hey, can you come do this with me? And I was talking to 2 of my really best girlfriends the night before, and I told them about it. And I said, what do you think? And they said, Olivia, you have to do this. You have to. And out of anybody in our friend group, I'm probably the most likely to do something like that. And so they really were supportive, and I really I decided at that moment that I was going to go through with it. So, I showed up in layers, some underwear and spandex, a sports bra, and a kind of a button-down shirt. And I said, okay, just kind of feel it out and see what I'm comfortable with doing. Yeah. And then as soon as I got there, it was I got my courage. I found my courage. And so there was a tarp laid out on the ground. and they were doing body painting. And as soon as I pulled in on my bike, they said, "Okay, who's coming? Who needs body painting?" And I screamed, I said, "I do." So I kind of took my layers down and I got body painted. And from that moment on, it was no going back. I said, "Okay, I'm committed. I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing it for anybody else. I don't even care if I talk to one other person. I'm not looking, to like meet anybody or anything like that, even though everybody is completely pretty much naked. It'd be a great place to meet people, but I wasn't looking for that. I just wanted to do it for me, to say that I had the courage to go out and I support, we supported Philly bikers and making biking safe and saving gas, and less gas, more ass was one of the things. But it didn't matter what it was. I just wanted to, I just wanted to do something for me by myself and not relying on anyone else.
Yeah. So this was something completely out of your normal personality type, right? Yeah. You're not riding the streets naked in Philly on a regular basis.
I am not. And I'm not even that comfortable. I don't even dress up in, short skirts and showing midriff when I go out and to the bars. I'm not that. I don't do that. I dress, cute, but I don't show a lot of skin.
So when you did this and everything, and you warmed up and you're like, I'm going for it and everything, when you finished your ride, how did you feel? What did you think of it then?
The whole time, it was a pretty long ride. We went through Philadelphia. I mean, it was not just this little back way. I mean, we went through the main streets and sites of Philly on probably a 6-mile course. And the whole time, just being, I could never do it. And before, when I said on my own, yes, I was on my own. I didn't go with anybody I knew, but I was surrounded by people. I think there were 2,000 bikers.
Wow.
And so it just, I felt, I was smiling when I was biking. And this was actually an issue, a couple weeks leading up to the breakup, is that in any free time I had, which a lot of that is me biking to work, to and from work, I found myself bitter. I found myself just angry and almost furrowed my brow. And I'm not an angry person, but I realized that when I was by myself, I was angry, and it was just trying to balance all those things we talked about before, family and this relationship, and oh shit, I did this again. And I'm going to be alone forever if I end this, and trying to balance all these responsibilities. I hated that I was mad when I was alone. And so I felt during the bike ride that I was alone in the sense that I'm on my bike, just me, like I am, on a daily basis. And I was happy. I was smiling. People were cheering us on the streets. And it was just, I was smiling. And that was such a great feeling, because biking does make me so happy. And I hated the fact that I wasn't happy when I was on my bike before that. So
this was very freeing for you.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Sounds like it gave you some independence. Like you could, not doing it with the person that you were with for the past year or so, and kind of taking action for yourself, which is really cool. So I was curious. I'm like, I wonder if this is something she would normally do, or how you felt at the end of it. Like, and now you said you had friends who were supporting you and everything. Did they all show up?
They didn't. No, they don't live right in Philadelphia, but I sent them pictures. They were encouraging me through, text, and I had to call them afterward and talk to them about it. And then, of course, with the article, I talked to them. I said, figures, I go and I wanted to do something just to say I did it, and now there's a picture out there. Just proving, for everyone to see. But then I kind of, I felt proud of that too. I was like, you know what? This isn't something that I can just sweep under the rug right away. I can own this. I can be proud of this, and I can show other people that I'm proud of it too.
Yeah, it's a significant milestone for you. So that's really cool. And if you hadn't done that, taken that picture and put it in the post, then I wouldn't have been able to find you. And I'm so glad that I did.
And connections like this are made. So it also, it's pretty, just you saying that I've had, just in my career, I work as a dietitian in the area, and there's a lot of moments in my life that I feel like I fly under the radar, is what I've kind of coined it as. And I think that there's a lot of, I'm sure some personality experts can really dive into that and tell me exactly what that means. But it's a confidence issue. And I think that this showed me that good things happen when you put yourself out there and you don't fly under the radar and you take a chance. And so the connection and just the picture and the post and then you contacting me, it was just a pretty cool feeling, just kind of solidifying that it's okay to step out there and just do something that you maybe aren't 100% comfortable with, or that's not necessarily something you do every day. Just try it. Don't be afraid to
I love it.
Above the radar.
I love it. I think it's so awesome that you did that. I know after I've been married and divorced twice, and after my second marriage, I started saying yes to things I never thought I would do before. And it was so liberating. It was so freeing to be able to step out of my own box and, come out of my own shell and figure out who I want it to be. So hats off to you. That's really cool. And so now that you've done this, what I'm curious is, what else do you have planned?
You know what? I don't have any specific events on the calendar yet, but I am just becoming much more involved in looking for opportunities. Philadelphia is such a great city at offering a lot of free events like this. And a lot of times after, I go to work, I come home, maybe, cook dinner, try to work out. And then the end of the day, I'm like, okay, well, I've done enough. I'm just going to go to bed and, be in bed at 9:30, 10. And I'm just because I'm not putting myself out there, not just going out and trying something. And I'm just getting better at even avoiding that routine and just kind of throwing things in there. I actually, just signing up for even email lists of things happening, and I some random things that I'm looking forward to in that sense. So just kind of exploring options and not forgetting about little fun events that could lead to who knows what.
That's right. Well, that's so awesome that you're doing those things and taking some risk. I can't wait to hear what you do next. Do you think you're ever do another naked bike ride again?
I really think I will. I found myself kind of envious of the people I saw that had maybe they painted a number on their arm or their back, symbolizing what year that this has been for them.
Oh, wow.
And there's people with 6 and 10, and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to be the person who comes and has, can boast that I've done this for multiple years in a row. So I think I will. I think I'll continue to do that.
Nice. That is very cool. And so knowing now too, going back to what got you on this bike ride in the first place and the end of a relationship, you've been engaged twice and they were both very, very different. Mm-hmm. And I get that because I was married twice in a row and I felt that they too were very different. But I'm curious to hear your perspective. What do you think about those relationships was the same for you? Like they may have been two different people, but you were the same. What right. things would you like to change going forward?
That is a great question. I would say the biggest thing for me is to not jump so far ahead in my mind, seeing what this, meet somebody and I'm automatically thinking, could they be a good husband? Or could I have kids with them? Are they going to, where are we going to be in 5 years? And yes, I do want that. I want to be a mother and I want to have a great marriage, but to think that and put that pressure and image on a very new relationship, I think, and I'm very good at not doing it in a clingy or overpowering way, right? To like to scare someone off. Like, I'm definitely not a clingy person, and but I'm thinking all these things in my mind, and I need to just have fun and enjoy a relationship for what it is. And it could last for a week, it could last for 6 months, it could last for a year, but the next person that I go on a date with doesn't have to be the person that I'm going to marry. And that has to be something that I consciously think of, because, and I think with anything in life, if you want it so bad, it's so easy to try to make it happen out of anything, that you're given. And I need to not do that. I need to just slow down and date and just kind of enjoy maybe just go on a short term relationship, just for even. But yeah, I think just not putting that pressure.
Yeah.
On a relationship.
Any ideas? Because sometimes our habits are hard to break. Any ideas of what might help you not do that?
You know what? I'm open for suggestions.
I hear the old me. I hear the old me in you, and that's why I'm wondering. Like, I wonder what ideas or tricks you may have up your sleeve to keep you from doing that, or maybe.
I think one thing is that I always go out with. I don't know. I think this is just something from my childhood. It's always been kind of a part of me, is that I want to be. I'm the youngest of 5, like I said, so I always feel like I'm behind. Like always, like, oh well, my siblings they're in a grade older than me. They've had their birthdays before me. They're married before me. They graduated before me. Whatever it is, I'm always trying to catch up, and I just need to be okay with where I'm at when I'm at it, and also kind of just maybe do something like the Philly Naked Bike Ride, where I go outside my comfort zone and know that I'm just doing it for me. I'm not doing it to catch up or prove to anybody that I'm at a point in my life where I should be, or try to prove to whoever I'm on a date with that I'm good enough. I think that's a big part of it too, is that I'm almost trying to prove myself for whoever I'm around, when I just need to be doing these things for me. And I think that's why the bike ride was so profound, because I wasn't out to prove anything to anybody. I was just there for me.
Mm-hmm.
And coming away from that, I didn't feel like it wasn't for anybody. I wasn't trying to prove anything. And I think that is the key lesson that I need to take with me in order to break that habit.
Yeah, I think it sounds like you're going to be dating yourself for a while.
I guess so, yeah.
You're going to be like, I have this woman I have to impress called myself.
Seriously, man, it's so true. It's so true. I'm always trying to, act like I have it all together for everyone else, and I just need to show myself that I'm doing okay.
Yeah. Next thing you know, your siblings are going to be like, hey, we want to go on that naked bike ride with you. That might be a little awkward. See? So now you're going to start doing all the things that they're not. And that'll be interesting to see how they respond. Did your family know that you were doing the bike ride?
I only told my sister. I haven't told the rest of my family yet, but word gets around pretty quickly, so I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Yeah, and if they read the paper, who knows?
yeah, then there's that.
Well, this is great. I have really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm sorry to hear that you're going through a breakup, and at the same time, I'm very excited for you.
Thank you.
I really am. I think you have the whole world ahead of you, and you've learned some lessons that I wish I would have learned before I jumped right in and actually went completely through with the weddings. you know? So you're a step ahead in a lot of respects, and you're not going to spend, you are a lovely person, and I am pretty confident you're not going to spend the rest of the world of your life alone.
I sure hope not. Thank you, and I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. So thank you for sharing this with us. I know everybody's gonna love this story. And who knows? I think Philly may have a few more visitors next year for the bike ride.
I hope so. Yeah, come on down. Seriously, it's great. They have a Facebook group. You can like them and follow their posts. And it's just, I really encourage it for anybody who needs a little extra courage. It's a great courage booster.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Leanne, and thanks for reaching out. I'm so glad that I got the pleasure to meet you and talk with you.
Me too. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Leanne.